thanks a lot for joining us today. Thank you both for your willingness to serve in these two very important positions. Mr. Schreiber, my understanding, I think that's our understanding, is OPM is rebuilding its staff and its operations after experiencing insufficient resourcing during the last administration. And what are some of the challenges ahead for OPM as it rebuilds its organization? And what are the opportunities? I like to say in adversity lies opportunity, but what are some of the opportunities, and how would you, if confirmed as Deputy Director, build on those opportunities to help OPM drive efforts to modernize the federal workforce policy across the federal government?
Thank you so much for the question, Senator Carper. It is both a challenging and an exciting time to be at OPM for the very reasons that you identified. In my current role as Associate Director for Employee Services, I've been leading the administration's government-wide federal workforce policy. And I've been doing it with a team that is not as staffed up as it had been previously, a team that lost a lot of subject matter expertise. And what we've been attempting to do while we rebuild that is also reestablish OPM as the federal government's strategic human capital leader. And it's been very exciting to work on the President's ambitious agenda for the federal workforce. We want these challenges, but there has been much work to be done. We've talked about several of the issues here today that OPM has been working on and needs to continue to work on. It has been really important to prioritize and to work hard towards those priorities. It's been really important to think strategically and use our resources wisely because they are scarce. Now, I think the opportunity that's here is reimagining what OPM means as the strategic human capital leader. We worked very closely, for example, Senator, with the agencies that were receiving substantial funds under the bipartisan infrastructure law. We worked with them right when the law was passed to understand what their human capital needs would be. We brought together teams of people from across OPM to serve them. And I think what we saw were some successful early results on how an approach like that can bring efficiencies into the federal HR process. And we're going to take those lessons learned and build that out at OPM writ large. So that's just one example of where there was an opportunity to kind of transform the way that OPM is serving agencies.
Yeah. Proving once again that in adversity lies opportunity. Thank you, Albert Einstein. Mr. Schreiber, in the past, when meeting with agency chief human capital officers about modernizing the federal workforce and hiring and retention practices, often we've heard from them that OPM was an obstacle rather than a partner in developing and implementing demonstration projects to improve hiring and retention. Do you believe that OPM should be a partner in these initiatives? And if so, if confirmed, how would you ensure that OPM is truly a partner to these federal agencies?
Thank you for the question, Senator. I absolutely believe that OPM should serve as a partner to agencies. Of course, we have an important compliance role that we play too, and that's critical. But I think I would build on my previous answer and say that we really are looking to reimagine how OPM can be a strategic partner to agencies and help them address the human capital challenges that they're facing day in and day out. It was really wonderful that the Chief Human Capital Officer Council was returned to OPM at the beginning of the administration. We've been working hard to build our relationships with the so-called CHICOs day in and day out. We have not only regular meetings with all of the Chief Human Capital Officers, we've instituted a number of different engagements, including personnel policy office hours, where we bring our subject matter experts to the meeting to answer questions that CHICOs are having. We have been engaging prior to issuing regulations and new policy with the Chief Human Capital Officers to ensure that their views as critical stakeholders are encompassed. We have encouraged them to make robust use of the OIRA process for interagency review of regulations so that we can get all of their perspectives. And again, like we did with the infrastructure implementation, we are looking for how we can engage early with them as strategic partners to bring human capital to the top of the list when it comes to implementing these major programs.
Good. Thank you. One question for Mr. Rivez, and then I think we're going to have to break off. Ms. Rivez, on January 20th last year, President Biden signed a presidential memorandum to modernize regulatory review, as you may recall. If confirmed as Administrator of the Office of Information and Regulatory Administration, OIRA, that's one of my favorite acronyms. I'm not a big acronym fan, but I love that one. But it will fall to you to lead the agency in implementing this memorandum. What is your approach in striking a balance between social, environmental, economic, and public health consideration when reviewing regulations?
Thank you, Senator. I think the implementation of the memorandum is enormously important. The President gave a clear direction, and if confirmed, I look forward to working with the OIRA team to do that. One important component of the memorandum is bringing OMB Circular A4 up to the President. It's a very good guidance document. It's 20 years old. We need to make sure that all relevant benefits of regulation are taken into account. If they can be quantified, that they're quantified. Same on the cost side. And that we better understand how regulations affect different groups of Americans in different ways, and that regulatory process will work better if we have that understanding. We already do it, for example, under statutes for small businesses and the Regulatory Flexibility Act and the Small Business Regulatory Enforcement Act. And the President asked that this work to be done more broadly, and if confirmed, I very much look forward to implementing the President's directive so that regulations can work better, not just for the American people in general, but for individual groups of the American people.
Thank you for that response. I think I'm going to just hold it right here. Senator Lankford is going to be joining us. He has asked that we hold and wait so he can ask some questions as well. He's very mindful of these issues and very knowledgeable about the issues that we're talking about. And I know he very much wants to be part of the dialogue. So, well, in the 30 seconds till he gets here, do any of you have in the audience a family member? Mr. Schreiber, do you?
Yes, Senator. I have my wife.
Would your wife raise her hand? What's her name?
Her name's Joanne Martinez.
Joanne. I've been noticed as you were speaking, her eyes were rolling. I said, that usually happens with my wife and me, so it's a trait I admire in women. Anybody else besides your wife?
I have two of my three children. My other's off at school.
James is here. Sons and daughters, raise your hands, please. The Schreibers.
Mitch and Justine.
All right, good. Good to see you guys. Thanks for sharing your husband and your dad with all of us. All right.